Thank you, Mr. Hastings. Mr. Secretary, in the Department of Interior brief that was filed in Judge Feldman's court in New Orleans, DOI denies that there is irreparable economic harm because of this, what we call back home jobs moratorium. Now, given that 20,000 jobs will be 20,000 people will be laid off directly, and as many as 100,000 will be indirectly affected, those are fairly conservative estimates. Is that not irreparable harm?
Congressman Cassidy, I appreciate the question and the economic issues at stake, and we recognize that there are economic consequences to the moratorium that we impose. We believe that the moratorium was correct when we put it into place, and we believe it continues to be correct because the dynamic situation that we see unfolding in the Gulf today.
But just because I have limited time, is that not irreparable harm? 20,000 jobs lost directly, maybe 100 more indirectly. Is that not irreparable harm?
I would say the greater irreparable harm would be if there was another blowout where there is not the oil response capability to even deal with the current Deepwater Horizon blowout. And the greater irreparable harm would be if you have a devastation of the Gulf Coast and its communities in a way that cannot be recovered. And so our program is comprehensive moving forward.
I just have limited time. I don't mean to be rude. I'm very sorry. So your collection of engineers from the National Academy of Engineering, they said, they go through this, and they said that a blanket moratorium is not the answer. It will not measurably reduce risk further, and it will have a lasting impact on the nation's economy, which may be greater than that of the oil spill. Now, here are 8 experts gathered by the department to make a decision, and they feel as if the experts, the science, not whatever, that this is not highlighted. I could go through more. A blanket moratorium will have the indirect effect of harming thousands of workers and further impact state and local economies suffering from the spill. We would, in effect, be punishing a large swath of people who were and are acting responsibly and are providing a product the nation demands. A blanket moratorium does not address the specific causes of this tragedy. We do not believe punishing the innocent is the right thing to do. We encourage the Secretary of Interior to overcome emotion with logic and to define what he means, and they go on. Now, these are the experts. These are the scientists, so to speak, of petroleum engineering. What do you know differently than what they recommend?
First, Congressman Cassidy, their job was to help us with the safety report to the President, and they did, and I appreciate their help. I have met with them subsequent to that report, and we'll continue to get their input as well as the input from others on safety measures. Secondly, the question of the moratorium was a policy call, which I made, and there are 2 fundamental questions that need to be answered. One, do we have the oil spill response capability? Number 2, can we ensure ourselves that we can move forward without the possibility of creating this kind of disaster again? How can we minimize that?
Now, let me ask this, because again, in your report here, you state that per the regulations, the advanced permit to drill requires technically detailed descriptions of well-designed criteria, casing, cementing, and blowout protector systems. This is page 6 of your brief. These fellows, they're all men, so I'll call them fellows, these fellows, in their very first page, say that we believe the blowout was caused by a complex and highly improbable chain of human errors coupled with several equipment failures and was preventable. Now, they're not saying that this is something which is a black box which we peer into and cannot know an answer. Rather, they're saying it is defined, and they produced this white paper, which I'm sure you're familiar with, which are safety recommendations which can be implemented now. And indeed, per your brief filed with Judge Feldman, you could look at those plans they have for drilling right now and decide whether or not they meet the best practices outlined in this white paper. Again, why not do that and preserve these 20,000 jobs?
Okay. Let me answer the question in the broadest sense, because I think members of the committee and Mr. Chairman, you and others have a great interest in where we are on the issue of the moratorium. We had 3 choices in front of us. Okay, the first is to to simply move forward and pretend that nothing had happened and that another incident like this could never happen again. And there were some who were advocates of that. Okay? We had another option, which some were advocates of, and that is that we bring to an end production in the oceans of America. Okay? So that was a stop button. The President and I chose to move forward with a pause button because we believe that we have to learn some lessons to make sure that this kind of incident does not happen again. Now, as we move forward, we will adjust accordingly based on information that we develop, based on our ability to ensure safety and environmental protection. And so that's part of the process which we are undergoing at this point in time.
I yield back. You've been generous, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman's time has expired.